I need a remote to push play. Okay, are we ready? Hey everyone, it's Marie Matter, the founding director of Australian Baroque Writing Academy, or ABRA. This is my very first ever podcast, so join along the journey with me as we dig through my brain. And today we're going to talk about horse welfare and why it's important. So currently I have 8 horses on my property, and it's a significant amount of work. 1 horse is a lot of work, 8 is an incredible amount of work. So today was an exceptionally hot day. So we started at 9:30. I worked 2 horses. I worked Diesel and Char, and by midday it was stinking hot. So I cancelled basically the rest of my lessons for the day. Now, why did I do that? Why didn't I push my horses through and myself through quite a hot day? It wasn't 30 degrees. Well, it felt like it was over 30 degrees, but it wasn't even 30 degrees. Now, it's not about what the actual temperature says on the weather forecast. You need to take into account humidity, whether it's dry heat, what's happening in the indoor arena, what's happening in the outdoor arena. And when you finish working horses, I want you to remember that for the next 20 minutes, their temperature still keeps going up. So if you think that you're hot, imagine having fur and then having a saddle blanket and a saddle and then somebody on top of you in the heat. Now, if your horses aren't used to the heat and being ridden in the heat, you can actually induce quite a lot of heat stress on them. Now, they're out there 24/7 dealing with the weather. So they're already out in the heat, and then you bring them in to work them. What are some of the things that you can do to help them? You can put a sponge in water and wet them down a little bit prior to putting the saddle blanket and the saddle on. You can hose them off after you've ridden. You can give them electrolytes in their water if you think that they are dehydrated. But more than that, I want you to imagine if you were the horse and you were out there in the heat and all you wanted to do was really conserve your energy and stand in the shade, and then somebody went and asked you to work for 45 minutes in the heat. If you weren't conditioned to do that, you would get pretty cranky pretty quick. So a lot of the welfare issues that I see around the place and that I help people with are surrounding the 5 F's. So, the 3 F's. Horses need friends, forage, and freedom. So, what exactly does that mean? So, horses are herd animals, and by nature, they run in herds. So I try to have all of my horses either in a herd or with another horse. Now, I have heard people say, oh, but I don't want my horse to get separation anxiety, and I don't like it, and I don't want other horses around my horse, or, whatever it is. But they do get stressed without a herd. And if you haven't taught them that you are part of their herd, then how are they meant to know that? How are you meant to gain that kind of trust from a horse? You aren't a horse, and you can't expect to understand or know exactly what the horses are thinking. And we often humanize horses and think that, oh, when it's cold, they need a rug on. I see rugs on horses on 20-degree days and winter rugs on horses, which is also a welfare issue. So horses between the degrees of 5 degrees Celsius and 25 degrees Celsius actually don't need any rugs. Um, a good portion of my horses aren't rugged at all. It's the older infirmed that get rugged, and I often don't rug in summer unless there are specific reasons like biting flies, or and I really am not keen at all on over rugging. So they need friends so that they can mutually groom, so that they have a hierarchy that they feel stable in, so that they can sleep because the other horse stands while the other horse sleeps, and vice versa. They look out for each other. And then we have forage. So we can't just, and I thought this when I first had a property, that I could just throw the horses in a really thick pasture and let them go for it. Now, perhaps a thoroughbred we might be able to do that with, but not ponies. And I have learned a thing or two, let me tell you, about laminitis. And I'm still learning, and I will continue to learn for the rest of my life. So the traditional, oh, look at all of those horses in that really, really thick green pasture. Isn't that amazing? I instantly think, how are their guts? What's their manure look like? How are they actually surviving on all that clover or all that really thick grass? So we do have to supplement their feed with hay. And a lot of people think you could just throw horses out in the paddock and they'll all be fine. And for the most part, some horses are fine, but ponies will not be. And we need to think about what we're feeding them and why we're feeding them what we are. So I've done a lot of research into feeds, into nutrition, into how to best manage paddocks. I've now set up a track system that I'll show you in a future podcast. We'll talk all about track systems. And I've also planted forage for them because, like giraffes, as you would traditionally think giraffes do, they nibble leaves off trees, and horses do exactly the same thing. And if they don't have that diversity of food, then we start to have to supplement their gut because they can't get that from nature because we simply don't have those plants. The third thing is freedom. Horses need freedom to move. They need to be free from disease and injury as much as possible. Now, horses will injure themselves. If you get a horse, I can guarantee you at some point that horse is going to injure itself. So in another future podcast, we'll look at first aid and what to do when a horse is doing X, Y, or Z. There's a lot in it. They need to have freedom from feeling fear. Now, some fear is normal for horses because they're flight animals and they will jump and run away if something completely new that they cannot categorize or comes into their environment, or if a human comes into their environment with an especially aggressive attitude or aggressive energy. So that's the 3 F's. Now, if your horse comes in from the paddock and is lame, it's your responsibility to find out why the horse is lame. It could be a number of things. It might have a stone in its hoof. It might have hurt a ligament or a tendon. It might be stopped up, so the horse might have swollen legs. Whenever I get a new horse in, I always get a vet to come in and check that new horse so that they have some idea of standard normal, of what is normal for that horse. So that when they come for an injury or the horse is just off, same with body workers and farriers, that they will know what a regular, that particular normal for that horse is, and they will be able to see what I'm seeing. Now, I don't do everything myself. my back is not strong enough at all to be a farrier. I have an independent farrier coming in to do the horse's feet so that I have another set of eyes on the horses every 3 to 6 weeks, depending on the horse, depending on what they need. I have a body worker come in regularly so that they can then see the horses, and they often pick up issues that I may not see in the horses, and that's okay. It's okay for me to miss things. It's okay for you to miss things. What's not okay is when you learn about it to ignore it. So let me say that again. It's okay to miss something and to not see something on your horse. What's not okay is when it's brought to your attention and you ignore it for whatever reason. If it's money related, talk to the vet, the farrier, the body worker, whoever it is, and say, hey, I don't have a lot of money at the moment, but I really need my horse looked at. Can I pay it off? Being upfront and honest with these ancillary care providers for your horses will pay off dividends in the long run. I must recommend that even before you think about getting a horse, to save up extra money so that if the proverbial hits the fan and you need to call in the vet or the farrier extra or the body worker extra, you have that cash sitting there in your bank that you can then pay out and then replenish that. Not particularly good at that myself. I am working on that. So, what other welfare issues do I see? I see people with really high energy, either coming from the cities or just coming from the small town that I live here, being really nervous or really hopped up when they walk through the door. And they're very talking, and haven't taken a breath. Horses work on such a different intellect and spatial level to what we do. We are predators. That's just the nature of humans. Horses are prey. They pick up shifts in energy so easily. So, in the time when I didn't have horses for about 10 years, it really, like, I was really hyped up all the time and depressed and just off my rocker. But I find now when I go into big cities or travel overseas and come home, it's like I can lay down all of that stress, all of that anxiety, all of everything that happens in a day and just go, oh, did you feel what happened then? Did you see what happened then? I brought my shoulders up. I brought my center down and I just relaxed. And horses can feel that, horses can see that. And the difference in working horses when you're calm and relaxed and peaceful, as opposed to, would you just get on and do what I'm asking you to do? It's like chalk and cheese. Why would you want to do anything for somebody who's yelling at you? Some horses will shut down, some horses will fight, some horses will run. And some trainers that I've seen use the flight instinct to then go, oh, that's great. Yeah, that's what I want you to do. But I would much rather my horses learn in a calm environment because they're much more likely to remember how you made them feel than being terrified and just trying to guess what you're asking of them. So think about whenever you're on a horse, training a horse, with a horse, what you're asking of them, is it clear? Is it compassionate? If you were trying to ask the same thing of a human, but not adding in any words or any language, vocal language. Imagine how you would get them to do that. And it's very similar to training horses. It's very similar. So today I brought Miri and Tui in to have their feeds because I feed my horses hard feed separately. And when I tried to take Miri out, he didn't want to go. And he stopped and he looked at me and he wouldn't go out the door. So I closed the door and did a training session with him, and he was so happy. And it was play. I played with him for 30 minutes and he went out so nourished and happy. And when the horses get the swing and they're just so happy then to go back to the herd and just generally go back to what they were doing when you caught them. So all of my horses wait at the gate for me to bring them in. It could be because I feed them, but even if I don't feed them, they're still eager to do things with me. And that's how I judge my definition of success with the horses. And there are some stressful times, sometimes for both of us, when I'm training and they're guessing, but I need to introduce no, or I need to introduce, making the right thing easy for them. And sometimes I don't get it right. And that's okay, as long as I know that I'm not getting it right and problem solve a way forward. It's not okay to keep asking the same thing over and over and over and over and not getting the result that you're after, but expecting that you are going to get that result. Wasn't that Einstein's definition of insanity? So if it doesn't work for that horse, change it. If it doesn't work for that horse, change it. So heading back around to horse welfare, I'm going to try and keep this to 20 minutes, so I'll try and wrap up now. I want you to think about how your farm is structured, or how everything is structured around your horse or around any of the horses you interact with or ride. When you put the saddle on, are they turning around and trying to bite you? When you do up the girth, are they turning around and trying to bite you? Do they try and evade having the bit put in their mouth? Do they walk away from you in the paddock? These are all signals that you need to pick up on and be aware of and change what you do and how you do it, or investigate why your horse is acting like that, because it's all information and it all feeds into the horse's welfare being put first. So in everything I do here, the horse's welfare is put first. If I think it's too hot, if there's an electrical storm, if there's thunder and lightning, no one rides. We'll do theory work instead, because there's so much to learn about horses, and I don't know it all, but I'm bringing my students along on a journey. So I have a subscription page on my website, www.australianbaroqueriding.com.au. If you want to hear more videos about horses, about horse training, about releasing fear, I have a mindset course, which is absolutely monumental. I recommend anyone and everybody do that course. It is my life's work and what I've learned going from having a significantly bad anxiety disorder to being cool, calm, and collected nearly all the time, no matter whether the horses have gotten out, no matter whether there's a bushfire. I can remain calm in the face of adverse situations happening. The horse has colic and is down. I'm the one that you can call upon to hold the horse and be calm and relaxed, because the horses need that from us. So thank you for listening. I really, really appreciate your time. If you've got any questions, please write on the bottom. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Australian Brute Riding Academy. I'm on TikTok, I'm on Facebook, and also Instagram, and of course my website. So if you want to work with me and you're overseas, that's completely fine. I do online lessons, and I do lessons here in Mount Gambier at Australian Brute Riding Academy, the home of classical dressage, of what we do here. And I would love to welcome you into our members area on Facebook if you join up through the membership page. And I hope to be seeing you soon. And that's podcast 1 done. Bye.